It hit everyone like a lightning strike when Gabriel Brown, the gentle, soft-spoken son of Janelle and Kody from Sister Wives, shared that side-by-side photo on social media. Fans were left speechless. His appearance was nearly unrecognizable, leaner, more defined, with a strength that radiated from his very posture. His body had undergone a remarkable transformation. But what truly made people pause wasn't just the physical shift. It was the unmistakable ache etched behind it. Because this wasn't merely a story of shedding pounds, it was grief, molded and manifested. Hi friends, my name is Maya and welcome back to TLC's Next Chapter. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below, because believe me, this is one you'll want to talk about. What Gabe unveiled to the world wasn't just a fitness milestone. It was the visible echo of a heartbreaking journey. The death of his older brother Garrison in March 2024 was a blow no one could have foreseen. And for Gabe, it changed everything. Raised under constant spotlight, part of an enormous and complex family unit that often branded itself as unified, Gabe experienced firsthand how that illusion began to fracture over time. Beneath the bright TLC smiles were deeper cracks, emotional walls, favoritism, long silences. Gabe was one of the earliest to slip through those widening gaps. And now, he's showing us what it truly means to claw your way back, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Gabriel Brown was never simply another child in a sprawling family. From his earliest steps, he was on our screens, beaming in group photos, joining in on family outings, wrapped in the picture-perfect narrative of polygamy that Sister Wives worked so hard to portray. To the outside world, it all appeared seamless. 4 wives, 1 husband, nearly 20 children, a modern, operational version of plural marriage. But if you paid attention, if you truly looked past the surface, you could sense it. The unease behind the eyes. The quiet ones who began to withdraw. Gabe was one of them. As a young boy, Gabe was curious, playful, and affectionate. He had that kind of warmth that made it easy for audiences to fall in love with him. But as the show progressed, something began to shift. Kody, the once present and engaged father, started to fade from the picture. Not just from Janelle, but from the children they raised side by side. Gradually, Gabe appeared less and less. He had fewer moments on screen, fewer connections with his father. And when he did show up, it was hard to miss the discomfort. The hesitations. Like he was swallowing the words he really wanted to speak. And it wasn't just Gabe. Viewers picked up on a recurring theme. Kody seemed to prioritize Robin's children, offering praise, protection, involvement. But when it came to Janelle or Christine's kids, especially the sons, there was a cold detachment. A distance that couldn't be ignored. And no one felt that more profoundly than Gabe. When the pandemic arrived, it was like striking a match near dry kindling. Disagreements over health, safety, and personal boundaries drove the family into deeper conflict. And Gabe's already fragile connection with Kody crumbled almost entirely. There were truly painful moments, times when Gabe reached out, just looking for some kind of acknowledgement, some fatherly presence. But Kody wasn't there. Not emotionally. Not physically. That kind of abandonment, especially when it's unfolding in front of millions, cuts deep. You're exposed, vulnerable, yet somehow still invisible. By the time Sister Wives entered seasons 18 and 19, it became heartbreakingly clear. Whatever bond once tied Gabe to Kody had dissolved. The series didn't sugarcoat it either. Audiences watched the emotional unraveling unfold in real time. Gabe had stepped out of the background. He wasn't just a supporting character anymore. He had become the embodiment of what happens when a father chooses power and pride over presence and empathy. It all began to spiral during the pandemic. Kody's strict mandates, seen by many of his adult children as controlling and isolating, only widened the already gaping emotional divide. Already feeling emotionally cast aside, Gabe began to push back. He couldn't wrap his head around why his father chose to spend his time at Robin's house, so focused on her children while seeming to forget his own. And when Gabe finally opened up, when he dared to tell Kody how much he was hurting, how deeply he missed him, it led to one of the most heartbreaking scenes ever shown on the series. Kody didn't respond with empathy. He didn't soften. He brushed it off. And in that moment, many viewers realized this wasn't just a family disagreement. This was emotional estrangement. Then came the split between Janelle and Kody in 2022. For some of the kids, it brought a sense of relief. But for others, especially Gabe, it unearthed a new kind of pain. Because no matter how fractured things had become, he still longed for a father. You could feel the sorrow in his silence, the heaviness in his absence. He began showing up less on screen. And when he did appear, he was quiet, guarded, withdrawn. This wasn't a rebellious teen lashing out. This was a young man mourning someone who was still alive. Meanwhile, Kody seemed more absorbed than ever in his life with Robin. The same father who once promised unconditional love to all his children now seemed to be retreating from the ones brave enough to confront him. And Gabe, he was left outside, watching the life he should have been a part of from a painful distance. Then came March 2024, and everything changed. That month, Gabriel lost his older brother Garrison, his best friend, his grounding force. Garrison's sudden death was a devastating blow, not just for the family, but for longtime viewers who had come to know and love the Brown kids. It felt like a dagger to the heart of the show itself. In a family often marked by chaos and emotional fragmentation, Garrison had been Gabe's constant. They laughed together, confided in each other, defended one another when no one else seemed to. Losing Garrison wasn't just losing a sibling, it was losing the one person who truly understood the emotional burden Gabe had carried for so long. And the grief. It hit like a tidal wave. You could see it etched into Gabe's face, the way his eyes sagged with sorrow, the way his body seemed to slump under a weight no lens could fully capture. This wasn't just sadness. It was devastation. Quiet, heavy, and all-consuming. This wasn't just grief. This was a complete emotional collapse. Gabe didn't flood social media with heartfelt tributes. He didn't sit for interviews or pour his heart out in public. He simply went silent. Entirely. And somehow, that silence said more than words ever could. While the rest of the family processed their pain in different ways, some leaning on each other, others retreating into their individual homes, Gabe turned inward. And for a time, it truly felt like he'd vanished. Fans speculated. Was he okay? Had he isolated himself completely? Would he ever re-emerge into the public space again? And then, months later, he did, but not how anyone expected. Gabe returned with a single post, 2 photos side by side. One from before, one from now. The contrast was jarring. He had shed 75 pounds. His frame was lean, powerful, defined. But more striking than the physical change were his eyes. There was something new in them. A sharpened focus. A calm resolve. Yes, there was pain, but layered beneath it was strength. Resilience. He included a quote from Drake. They said I fell off. Oh, I needed that. And with just those few words, Gabe said everything. This wasn't about appearances. This wasn't about vanity. This was survival. It was his way of honoring Garrison. Not by succumbing to grief, but by using it as fuel to keep going. Every pound he lost was a burden laid down. Every training session was a silent scream into the void. This was mourning through movement, regaining control in a world that had stolen so much from him. And in that subtle but powerful post, Gabe didn't just reappear. He rose. When Gabe stepped back into view, it wasn't with a headline-grabbing interview or a dramatic return to reality TV. It was with that one photo, a before and after shot that reverberated through the fanbase like a shockwave. Yes, the weight loss was dramatic. But what truly mattered was the message behind it. This wasn't a display of strength. It was a lifeline. The gym became his sanctuary, a place untouched by the dysfunction and noise of his family's unraveling. Every rep, every ache, every drop of sweat became a form of therapy. He didn't explain it. He didn't need to. His dedication told the story. He wasn't chasing image. He was chasing feeling. Peace. Control. He started eating clean, living with intention, grounding himself in a discipline that didn't come from a father's authority or a producer's script, but from within. From that quiet decision, I will not let this destroy me. And perhaps the most symbolic gesture of all, Gabe cut off his long hair. Hair that fans had watched grow over the years. He donated it. It wasn't just a haircut. It was a letting go. A quiet declaration. This chapter is closed. A new one begins. Then came that now iconic Instagram caption. They said I fell off, oh, I needed that.
Short.
Sharp.
Raw.
It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about proving the doubters wrong. It was about transforming pain into purpose. Gabe's evolution wasn't about running from his past. It was about refusing to be trapped by it. He didn't crumble beneath his grief. He rebuilt himself from its ruins. Today, Gabe Brown is living differently. Quieter. More deliberately. And for the first time, it seems like this life is his own. Not scripted. Not curated. Just real. He's just a young man, quietly stitching together pieces of peace after profound heartbreak. Gabe has been open, bravely so, about turning to therapy, a rare step in the context of the Brown family's dynamic, where vulnerability is often masked by silence. And though he's not making grand statements, it's clear that healing is happening in the smallest, most meaningful ways. Mentoring his younger siblings, experimenting with new recipes in the kitchen, going on long hikes without the distraction of a phone. He's finding comfort not in dramatic changes, but in the calm of daily routine. Stillness. Solitude. And that's where true transformation begins, not in spectacle, but in quiet, patient rebuilding. One of Gabe's greatest sources of stability throughout this journey has been his mother, Janelle. She's remained his rock, calm, steady, present. Her love hasn't been loud, it's been constant. She didn't push him to heal. She simply stood beside him, offering silent support and unwavering belief that he could. And that kind of quiet devotion? It's more powerful than any camera-ready moment ever could be. What's most striking now is that Gabe no longer seems like just another face from Sister Wives. That label, once defining, no longer fits. He stepped out from under the weight of a family brand that prioritized appearances over authenticity. He's no longer one of many. He's his own man. Not because he demanded recognition, but because he earned his identity, inch by inch in silence.
And he survived.
Gabe's story is one of heartbreak and loss, but more than that, it's about choosing life. In a media world obsessed with the loudest arguments and most performative drama, Gabe's quiet evolution is a breath of fresh air. It's honest. It's human. It's real. For years, he was just another brown kid growing up on TV, often fading into the background. But if you were really watching, really paying attention, you saw something remarkable. A young man finding strength in the ruins of a fractured family. Gabe's transformation hasn't been flashy or publicized. It's been internal, personal, courageous. He faced grief that could have swallowed him whole and chose, instead, to grow from it. His journey is a testament to how the hardest battles are often fought in silence, off camera, away from the spotlight. And watching him now, it's impossible not to feel a deep sense of respect. Because Gabe isn't just shedding physical weight. He's shedding years of emotional hurt, neglect, and silence. He's reclaiming his story, not as a Brown, not as a TV personality, but simply as Gabe. A young man who has endured trauma, navigated loss, and is now shaping a life on his terms. If there's anything to take from Gabe's story, it's this. Grief doesn't have to consume you. Self-worth doesn't need to come from someone else's approval. And courage? Sometimes it's not loud. Sometimes it's the quiet, steady choice to wake up, keep going, and create a future for yourself. Gabe's journey reminds us that even in the middle of pain and chaos, there is room for healing. There is room for hope. And that's something we can all hold on to. So, what about you? Has Gabe's transformation changed the way you see him, or the Brown family? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more honest, unfiltered stories behind the scenes.